Welcome to the 5-Minute Murder podcast from 5minutemurder.com, where every week we take a look at a murder, a murderer, a serial killer, or an assassination in about 5 minutes. Episode 5. Jack the Ripper. The case of Jack the Ripper is one of the most enduring and chilling mysteries in criminal history. The identity of the notorious killer who stalked the streets of London's Whitechapel district in the late 19th century remains unknown, despite over a century of investigation, speculation, and debate. The Ripper's gruesome murders, combined with the squalid conditions of Victorian London, have ensured that this case has captured the public imagination like no other, spawning countless books, films, and theories. The story of Jack the Ripper begins in the autumn of 1888, a time when Whitechapel was one of the most impoverished and crime-ridden areas of London. The district was a labyrinth of narrow, filthy streets and alleyways, home to a transient population of the poor and destitute. Prostitution was rife, as many women, unable to find other means of support, sold their bodies to survive. It was against this backdrop that Jack the Ripper emerged, preying on these vulnerable women in a series of brutal and horrifying murders that would shock the nation. The first murder attributed to Jack the Ripper was that of Mary Ann Nichols, whose body was discovered in Bucks Row on the 31st of August, 1888. She had been savagely attacked, her throat cut deeply, and her abdomen mutilated. The ferocity of the attack suggested that this was no ordinary killing, and fears began to spread through the local community. Just over a week later, on the 8th of September, the body of Annie Chapman was found in the backyard of a house on Hanbury Street. Like Nichols, Chapman's throat had been cut, and her abdomen brutally disemboweled, with parts of her internal organs removed. The police now realized they were dealing with a serial killer, one whose savagery and precision indicated a chilling level of depravity. The press quickly picked up on the story, and the figure of Jack the Ripper began to take shape in the public consciousness. The name itself originated from a letter supposedly sent by the killer to the Central News Agency, though its authenticity remains doubtful. The letter, signed Jack the Ripper, taunted the police and claimed responsibility for the murders, adding to the sense of fear and fascination surrounding the case. Whether the letter was genuine or a hoax, the name stuck, and Jack the Ripper became a symbol of terror. On the 30th of September, 1888, the killer struck again, this time committing what would later be known as the double event. The body of Elizabeth Stride was found in Dutfield's yard, her throat cut but with no further mutilation, leading some to believe that the Ripper had been interrupted. Less than an hour later, the body of Catherine Eddowes was discovered in Mitre Square. Eddowes had suffered the same fate as the previous victims, but with even more extensive mutilations, including the removal of her kidney and part of her face. The escalation in violence and the sheer brutality of the killings sent shockwaves through London. The final murder commonly attributed to Jack the Ripper occurred on the 9th of November. Mary Jane Kelly, the youngest and perhaps most tragic of the Ripper's victims, was found in her room at Miller's Court. Her body had been mutilated beyond recognition, with virtually every organ removed and the room covered in blood. The horrific nature of Kelly's death marked the culmination of the Ripper's reign of terror, leaving the public and police alike horrified and desperate for answers. Despite an extensive investigation by Scotland Yard, which included the questioning of hundreds of suspects and the gathering of numerous pieces of evidence, the identity of Jack the Ripper was never discovered. The lack of forensic technology, combined with the confusion and fear that gripped Whitechapel, made it almost impossible to catch the killer. The Ripper seemed to vanish as suddenly as he had appeared, leaving behind a legacy of fear and mystery. Over the years, countless theories have been put forward regarding the true identity of Jack the Ripper. Suspects have ranged from local butchers and doctors to members of the royal family and famous artists. One of the most well-known suspects is Montague John Druitt, a barrister who committed suicide shortly after the last murder. Another theory suggests that the Ripper was Aaron Kosminski, a Polish Jew who was committed to an asylum shortly after the murders. More sensational theories have implicated figures like Prince Albert Victor, Duke of Clarence, and the painter Walter Sickert, though these are largely based on conjecture and circumstantial evidence. In recent years, advances in forensic science have led to renewed interest in the case, with some researchers claiming to have uncovered new evidence that could finally unmask the Ripper. DNA analysis of items purportedly belonging to the victims or the killer has been used to support various theories, though none have been definitively proven. The mystery of Jack the Ripper remains unsolved, with each new theory adding another layer to the legend. The enduring fascination with Jack the Ripper can be attributed to several factors. The sheer brutality of the murders, combined with the killer's apparent ability to evade capture, has kept the case alive in the public imagination. The Victorian era, with its stark contrasts between wealth and poverty, progress and decay, provides a vivid backdrop for the Ripper's crimes, highlighting the dark underbelly of a society in transition. Additionally, the anonymity of the killer allows for endless speculation, with each theory reflecting the fears and obsessions of the time in which it is proposed. Jack the Ripper is more than just a historical figure. He has become a cultural icon, representing the ultimate unknown terror. His story continues to be retold, reinterpreted, and reimagined, ensuring that the legend of Jack the Ripper will endure for generations to come. Whether the mystery will ever be solved remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. The shadow of Jack the Ripper still looms large over the streets of Whitechapel, a grim reminder of one of history's most notorious and elusive killers. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the 5-Minute Murder podcast from 5minutemurder.com. If you get a chance, please leave a review wherever you get your podcasts, as it will help us to grow. Also, why not check out our other 5-minute podcasts, 5-Minute Biographies, 5-Minute History, and 5-Minute Mysteries. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.